We've all started a day when getting out of bed was a chore, or felt stressed about what we were going to do or not do that day. But have you filled up with anxiety to the point that you felt you were going to explode or implode? I hope if or when you do, you'll find the courage to reach out and break your silence. Or if you're worried about someone else, please let them know. You'll both be glad that you broke the silence that so often lingers in the face of needed compassion. Good morning, I'm Steve Mongeau, Executive Director of Samaritans, and thank you for joining us in breaking the silence that can surround the grieving process after the loss of a loved one to suicide, or when you or someone you care about needs to relieve anxious, despairing thoughts and feelings. Silence is defined not just as the absence of sound or noise, but by the omission of mention, comment, or expressed concern. It must be broken to help us save lives. Although I have not struggled with debilitating anxiety, depression, or suicidal feelings of my own, I've borne witness to many who have, including close friends, co-workers, neighbors, and my family. I lost my sister Kathy to suicide, and I wonder whether she would still be here had she reached out to Samaritans and broken her silence, or if I had known what to look or listen for when she was in crisis. So stigma be damned. The truth is, when I found my voice and opened up about the pain I felt, I found nothing but compassion and love. I discovered that people I had known for years had also lost a loved one to suicide, or had survived personal anguish over their own suicidal feelings. If you or someone you know has lost a loved one to suicide, please consider joining us at a Safe Place peer support meeting, or asking for an individual visit from another lost survivor. You can share your thoughts and feelings, as over 1,100 attendees have, with others who can identify with your grief journey. In Massachusetts, the number of suicides at around 600 each of the last 5 years has stubbornly not declined and remains higher than all homicides and traffic fatalities combined. Although Massachusetts has one of the lowest suicide rates in the country, as the national numbers are worse, it is exasperating that we are not making more progress. However, with your help, we will forge ahead, because we know that we are, in fact, saving lives. Just last month, an article in Scientific American noted that leaders in the field of suicide prevention who are analyzing new data are embracing the mantra, ask the question. They state that to tackle suicide directly, we must ask about it directly. And in presentations to clinicians at the American Association of Suicidology conference, the need to listen to their patients and to let the patients steer the conversation was stressed repeatedly. At Samaritans, we ask callers and texters, are you feeling suicidal? And if you are, we let you know it's okay, and we want to hear more about it. We let you unload your greatest concerns without judgment or diagnosis, and we let you decide when you want to call or text again. In addition to more calls on the Samaritan statewide helpline this year, we also answered more calls from Massachusetts coming in on the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And we were one of 5 backup centers during the Grammy performance by Logic, a renowned American rapper, singer, songwriter, and record producer, of the song 800-273-8255, which is named after the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number. We had full coverage that night, and in the words of one volunteer, the room lit up like a Christmas tree during the performance. And we thank Logic for helping us break the silence. And with the MBTA ads and social media efforts raising awareness of text since early 2016, our 12,000th text conversation will take place this month. Half of those texts are coming in from young people between the ages of 14 and 24. Overall, 25% more callers and texters reached out to Samaritans this year. And we are serving 87% of the callers, but we need to do better to communicate with 100% of those who reach out. Now we want to share a story about the day author Kevin Hines walked onto the Golden Gate Bridge, thinking that he should jump, but hoping someone would stop him. A woman approached him, and he thought she would save him. But after she just asked him to take her picture and then walked away, he jumped. It takes just under 5 seconds for a person to fall from the Golden Gate Bridge into the water below. It was instant regret the moment my hand left the rail, Kevin recalls, but it was too late. He opened his eyes deep underwater, his spine broken. All I wanted to do was survive, Kevin remembered thinking. I can't die here. If I do, nobody will know I didn't really want to die. I had made a mistake. Kevin struggled to stay afloat while the Coast Guard came to his aid. He then spent years recovering and getting honest with himself about his mental health. But he, like over 90% of the people who have survived a suicide attempt, has moved forward with a fulfilling life. Kevin likes to say the act of suicide is separate from the thought of suicide. Our volunteers hear or read messages that support this every day, like in this text. I'm depressed, I'm crying, I want to kill myself, but instead I decided to text you guys. A lady went to my school the other day and gave a wristband with this number. I just want the feeling to go away. Another stated, my friend forced me to contact Samaritans. I need help now. I'm going to commit suicide. Help me now. Please help me. I told her they didn't really care. Please prove me wrong. After a long, intense exchange, this individual shared, I've actually got to open up and be myself. I almost have a different perspective, if that makes sense. And yes, we know it does make sense. And the reference to the wristband and hearing a friend encourage someone else to contact us confirms that the combination of our services are working. So if more people can identify risk factors and warning signs that present themselves 70% of the time around a potential suicide, more can help. If we can all learn how to help a friend, we can all contribute to saving lives. It's been documented that less than half of the mental health professionals receive adequate suicide risk assessment or intervention training at graduate school or medical school. That's why, in addition to our workshops in community groups, businesses, and schools, we also deliver the workshop to the nursing students at Northeastern University during the mental health curriculum and go to Simmons College Graduate School of Social Work. In February 2016, the accrediting body of hospitals recommended screening medical patients for suicide risk. The National Institute of Mental Health has devised a tool that has shown promising test results in reducing suicide. And in a striking finding, when asked if they wanted to be asked about suicide risk, 95% of the kids surveyed said yes. So they certainly want to break the silence. We continue growing the number of workshops with a jump in teen attendance of 40% this last year, but many more are needed. They reinforce that if we can all open up about what we are feeling and be accepted for who and what we are, the weight on our shoulders can lighten. Not unlike the Me Too movement and March of Our Lives rallies, the more we break the silence, the more we'll find we are not alone, and the more we can drive change that can enrich our lives. So now I'm going to ask you to briefly participate in our program. On the count of 3, please yell, break the silence. Be loud. I want them to hear in the hallway, across the street, or upstairs. So don't let me down on this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Break the silence. That was beautiful. I don't even have to ask you again. It was a beautiful thing.